what's going on guys? Arekkz here, and today I want to talk about a game called Town. Now, you'll be forgiven if you have completely no idea what this is, or you completely forgot this even existed because this was announced some 8 months ago, and since then we haven't really had much more information. But in light of us being on the cusp of E3, it is literally around the corner. I want to talk more about this because I want to talk about what we can expect from GameFreak's next title. Of course, if you are familiar with GameFreak, you're probably familiar with them because of Pokemon, but Town is the new game they're working on that is supposed to be launching this year. So in this video, I'm going to recap what we currently know about it, what we can hope to see at E3. So if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Let me know if you are waiting for this yourself. Let me know if this is the first time you're hearing about it. Either way, let me know. Now, broadly speaking, for those of you that perhaps haven't heard about it at all, Town is, again, the next game by GameFreak. Of course, you know, they're busy working on Pokemon and whatnot, but this is their new game they're working on for Nintendo Switch, and it's coming supposedly this year. No actual date, not even a release window, but it is said to be releasing in 2019. Now, the premise for the game is kind of interesting because it's supposedly all set in this small village. There's this village that's under the protection of a giant castle, and the settlement has, for the longest time, enjoyed lasting peace until a monster invaded. You know, it's kind of the way it always goes. They live happily ever after, something comes along, and then begins the game. And in the case of this, monsters invade. Now, what's quite interesting is that supposedly the entire story will take place in this village. So, you know, when you kind of typically think about RPGs, you think about exploring vast landscapes, vast different worlds. The notion that this supposedly all takes place in a village is quite interesting. I don't know whether there'll be like a story twist on that, where maybe there'll be different dimensions that you're technically speaking still in the village, but you're actually going to different places, or whether it is much more akin to, say, a village kind of like you would find in something like Harvest Moon, and then of course all the challenges and the monsters come to you. So, you know, it might be less about the exploration and much more about the battles, the synergies, stuff like that. Now, when you are playing, if you actually take a quick look, bear in mind, at this stage, as mentioned, there isn't really much known about the game, and that also extends to footage. There's basically been that small trailer, so you'll forgive me for looping that in the background, but when we see the gameplay, you can of course see that there is a turn-based strategy element to it. Now, the very first time I ever saw this, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Monster Hunter Stories, because that has that sort of rock, paper, scissors looking battle setup, and not entirely sure whether that's exactly how this will work, but those little buttons that kind of appear on screen definitely give me those vibes. But you'll basically be able to strategically select a variety of battle commands, and you can then use those to take down the invading monsters, but on top of that, you can also call on the help of fellow villagers. So there'll obviously be villagers with different abilities, different battle styles, that kind of thing, and they will effectively form your team. Now, while it may be very easy to, you know, draw typical comparisons and think, you know what, it's another turn-based game, there's parallels between this and Pokemon, they are obviously, not just aesthetically, not just the way that it works, but obviously very different in their own right. They are both turn-based games, but from what we've seen so far of Town, bear in mind that also is a placeholder title, so it might not actually be called that. What we've seen so far from this game is that each move will require different stats and actually deal damage in different ways, so there's a lot more variety to the actual moves themselves, as well as obviously all the different villagers. The actual gameplay that we've seen so far is of the core character. We haven't seen too much from other villagers, so that is definitely one of the things that I want to find out more about in-game. Of course, at the very start of the trailer, it's also described in such a way that it says a new story in a village with a secret to hide. So obviously, in any kind of typical RPG, there is it's not just one-dimensional. There's not just going to be monsters invade, the end. There's obviously going to be a bigger component to it. Maybe that ties in with the emphasis on being in that particular village. Maybe the village moves, who knows? But what I do want to see at E3 is a better look at the combat, because right now, obviously, it looks like, you know, your standard RPG. You've got the kind of cool, cel-shaded look. You've got those chibi characters. It's very kind of cute aesthetic, but there's also some very cool looking monsters. But there isn't really much context as to how the game actually plays, what you actually do. Is there a collecting component to it? Is there any team building aspect to it? They mentioned that you can summon villagers, but how does that work? Do you summon them as you would say spells? Do you actually form teams? Can you level them up separately? Can you play as different characters? These are all things that I hope they answer during E3, because, you know, with a game that's supposed to be launching later on this year, we still know very little about it. So it'd be nice to get a cohesive look at what the gameplay flow looks like, some of the stuff that you can do in the village. Obviously, if you are going to be spending a lot of time in the village, I would expect there to be a lot of maybe village building aspects, things that you can do to, you know, spend a lot more time there, get involved there, quests, characters, all that stuff you'd expect from an RPG. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm hoping we get a look at during Nintendo's press conference, because this is a game that, honestly, I'm really kind of excited about it. Maybe I'm more excited about it because I don't know much about it, so maybe that mystery aspect has me wanting to know more. But at the same time, I trust GameFreak. They're good at what they do, and I'm confident that they'll deliver something that I'm going to want to play. Anyway, that's a brief look at it. For those of you who perhaps didn't know about it or forgot about it, then now you know. So keep your eyes peeled, because this one, I want to check out at E3. I'll be over there. I'll be going to Nintendo's booth. I've booked my appointment. Cannot wait to go there. So there's lots of games that I want to check out. So keep it locked, because I'll have plenty of gameplay for you from E3. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.